The line between an ordinary life and a shocking criminal act is thinner than most of us dare to imagine. What pushes a seemingly normal person, a loving parent, a diligent employee, a friendly neighbor, into committing a crime that shatters lives? Is it desperation, greed, a moment of unchecked rage, or something deeper hidden beneath years of quiet discontent? Tonight, we dive into the unsettling truth behind the choices ordinary people make that lead to extraordinary crimes and the dark corridors of the human mind that few ever explore. Prepare yourself for a journey into chilling reality where morality meets madness and sometimes loses. Disclaimer: content is for awareness and educational purposes only. Viewer discretion advised. In the autumn of 2019, in the quiet suburban streets of Portland, Oregon, a case emerged that would shake the community to its core. On the surface, it seemed impossible. A respected accountant, a father of two, and a beloved community volunteer, suddenly at the center of a criminal investigation for fraud, assault, and a shocking theft that left neighbors whispering in disbelief. How could someone who appeared so ordinary harbor such dark impulses? What led to that fateful day when the facade cracked, revealing a reality that no one could have predicted? Sarah Thompson, a longtime neighbor and friend, recalls the days leading up to the event with a mixture of horror and disbelief. He was always so calm, so composed. I never imagined he could be capable of anything like this, she said. But beneath the quiet routine of daily life, hidden pressures had been mounting. The accountant, whose name we will withhold due to ongoing legal proceedings, had been grappling with debts, failed investments, and personal betrayals that eroded his moral compass, one decision at a time. The first signs were subtle: small lapses, white lies at work, minor ethical breaches dismissed as oversights. But gradually, those cracks widened into choices that crossed the line into criminal territory. Experts in behavioral psychology often warn about the slippery slope phenomenon. Small, seemingly insignificant transgressions can escalate when fear, envy, and opportunity collide. Could this explain why a man, known for his civility and composure, could suddenly commit acts that shocked everyone around him? Neighbors began noticing strange patterns: missing packages, odd late-night trips, and subtle shifts in demeanor. Each small anomaly, easily ignored, was actually part of a larger, invisible narrative of unraveling morality. How many times do ordinary people justify small wrongs, only to find themselves trapped by the very choices they once considered harmless? Could anyone truly predict when an ordinary person will cross the line into the criminal underworld? As investigators delved deeper into the case, a darker side of human behavior emerged. Personal grievances, financial desperation, and unspoken resentments intertwined to create a perfect storm. But was it purely circumstance, or had these impulses always lurked beneath the surface, waiting for the right trigger? This story challenges the comfortable notion that crime is always committed by the other, that the evil resides somewhere far away, in someone else's home. Tonight, it becomes painfully clear. Crime can reside next door, in your office, in the lives of those you trust most. The investigation revealed a network of small lies, secret transactions, and hidden communications. Ordinary actions turned extraordinary in their consequences. Friends and colleagues began asking themselves the same question repeatedly: when do ordinary people cross the invisible moral threshold? And once they do, can they ever return to the life they once knew? And just when it seemed the full scope of the crime would remain hidden, a critical piece of evidence surfaced, something so shocking it would forever change the community's understanding of what drives ordinary people to commit crimes. Was it greed, fear, revenge, or something even more sinister, buried deep within the human psyche? If this story has captured your curiosity so far, comment shocking truths, share this story with everyone who needs to hear it, subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc, and turn on the notification bell to follow every chilling revelation. But beware, the deeper we go, the more unsettling the truth becomes. Are ordinary people truly capable of monstrous acts? Or do circumstances alone create the criminal within? The answers lie ahead, and the revelations will challenge everything you thought you knew about morality, choice, and the human mind. As the investigation intensified in Portland, the seemingly ordinary accountant's life began to unravel in ways no one could have predicted. Evidence started pointing to a carefully concealed double life, one of meticulous professionalism by day and a tangled web of deception and criminal behavior by night. What drives a person to compartmentalize their morality so completely? How can the same hands that balance ledgers also orchestrate theft, fraud, and betrayal? Experts call it cognitive dissonance, a mental state where people justify actions that contradict their moral beliefs. But seeing it manifest in real life is far more chilling than any textbook. Inside the accountant's home, investigators discovered a maze of digital transactions and encrypted messages that hinted at premeditation. Hidden folders on his laptop contained plans, calculations, and lists that chronicled a descent into choices that were once unthinkable. His colleagues spoke of minor lapses, misplaced client funds, unexplained absences, but none imagined these were the first dominoes leading to an intricate criminal scheme. Could it be that the seeds of crime were planted long before anyone noticed, quietly growing under the guise of normalcy? Family members were blindsided. His spouse described sleepless nights filled with questions, doubt, and fear. I kept asking myself, how did I not see this coming? We shared everything, or so I thought, she confessed, voice trembling. And therein lies the terrifying truth. Criminals aren't always strangers lurking in the shadows. They can be people we trust most, hiding impulses we can barely comprehend. Meanwhile, the local community was in shock. Neighbors who once waved and smiled found themselves questioning every interaction. Who among them had glimpsed the subtle signs? Who had unknowingly trusted someone capable of devastating deceit? Behavioral psychologists assert that high-functioning individuals can manipulate appearances with such precision that even close friends may remain oblivious until the crime explodes into reality. But what triggers the tipping point when ordinary stressors become extraordinary criminal acts? Financial pressure, betrayal, perceived injustice. Any one of these could ignite a spark, but sometimes it's the combination that proves combustible. One of the most disturbing revelations came from examining the accountant's social circle. Friends described him as charming, attentive, and reliable, a man who hosted dinner parties, volunteered at local charities, and maintained a pristine reputation. Yet behind closed doors, simmering resentment and personal failure had begun to erode his moral foundation. Could it be that the veneer of civility masks a darker instinct, waiting for the precise alignment of desperation and opportunity? In interviews, psychologists highlighted that ordinary people commit crimes not always out of inherent malice, but from perceived necessity. In some cases, it's survival. In others, it's ego, pride, or revenge. This duality, ordinary life versus criminal impulse, is what makes cases like this so compelling, so unsettling. Watching someone balance these extremes, knowing the line could snap at any moment, keeps investigators and audiences on edge. Then, an unexpected witness came forward, revealing a side of the story that no one had anticipated. A former colleague claimed the accountant had shown strange behavior months earlier, subtle manipulations, minor rule-breaking, and comments that hinted at disillusionment with morality itself. Could these small, often overlooked behaviors have been warning signs? And if so, how many other ordinary people around the world are silently treading the same dangerous line without anyone noticing? As the case progressed, authorities began to piece together a sequence of events that revealed the accountant's descent into crime was neither random nor impulsive. It was calculated, methodical, and terrifyingly human. Each decision, no matter how small, contributed to a moral collapse that would leave lasting scars on the community, the family, and the countless lives affected by his actions. And just when investigators thought they were nearing the full truth, a shocking discovery surfaced, something hidden in plain sight that cast the entire story in a new, darker light. Was this the product of circumstance, latent criminal tendencies, or the human mind's alarming capacity to rationalize wrongdoing? Could ordinary people truly harbor darkness capable of shattering everything they hold dear? If this story has gripped you so far, comment, unmask the truth. Share this with everyone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell to uncover the deeper layers of human behavior. What other secrets might lie buried in the minds of people we think we know? How far can desperation, resentment, or greed push someone before morality finally breaks? The answers are coming, but the revelations ahead will make you question every assumption you've ever had about who commits crimes and why. The story of Portland's accountant had already shaken the community, but what emerged next went far beyond fraud and deception. Forensic investigators uncovered a side of him no one had anticipated, a meticulous pattern of manipulation that extended beyond finances, infiltrating personal relationships, professional networks, and even casual social interactions. How does someone manage to orchestrate such complexity without detection? And what does this say about the hidden layers of human nature? During the trial, colleagues recounted eerie anecdotes, subtle intimidation, persuasive charm, and a knack for exploiting small vulnerabilities in others. Friends described feeling off balance in his presence, unsure whether their instincts were warning them or if they were simply imagining things. Experts explained that ordinary people who commit crimes often develop an uncanny ability to exploit social trust. They are, in essence, master manipulators, blending in while carefully steering situations to their advantage. But how do such skills develop, and are they always intentional? Or is it desperation and rationalization driving their actions? The accountant's family faced an equally disturbing reality. His children, once proud of their father's achievements, now wrestled with confusion and fear. Could the man who taught them right from wrong also be the architect of lies and betrayal? Psychologists note that children in such families often experience a profound moral dissonance, learning firsthand that morality can be malleable, now dependent on circumstance, and occasionally overridden by human weakness. This case illuminated the terrifying question: if someone who seemed so upright can fall, who among us might be hiding dark impulses behind a friendly face? Meanwhile, prosecutors revealed evidence that challenged the public perception of what had been just a series of isolated incidents. Bank records, emails, and digital logs painted a picture of someone fully aware of the consequences, yet seemingly compelled to continue. Experts call this a gradual moral erosion, a process where repeated small transgressions, once justified, pave the way for more significant acts. But the chilling part is not just the act itself, it's the inner rationalization, the mental gymnastics that allow an ordinary person to cross lines they once swore never to approach. Community meetings, initially convened to support victims, transformed into forums of disbelief and soul-searching. Neighbors who once trusted their surroundings now ask themselves impossible questions. Could they have predicted this? Were the warning signs truly invisible, or had they been too comfortable to notice? And what does it say about society when ordinary people, under enough pressure, can commit crimes that leave lasting scars on everyone around them? Then came the revelation that would redefine the entire case: a hidden ledger detailing premeditated schemes, carefully timed actions, and manipulative maneuvers designed to exploit both human psychology and legal loopholes. The scale of deception was staggering. Had anyone looked closer, the signs might have been there all along. But the truth is often stranger and more horrifying than fiction. Could someone so outwardly normal truly harbor the capacity for such calculated wrongdoing? Or had the pressures of life created a situation where an ordinary person became extraordinary in their criminality? As the trial unfolded, the courtroom became a theater of tension, with every testimony peeling back layers of a personality that seemed, at first glance, so familiar and relatable. Observers were left asking themselves, how much of criminal behavior is nature and how much is nurtured by circumstance? Can morality bend under pressure until it finally snaps? And what moral lessons can ordinary people extract before they too are confronted with moments that test the limits of conscience? Yet, even as the courtroom drama captivated public attention, a new mystery emerged, one that no one could have predicted. A former associate hinted at an even larger network of influence, suggesting that the accountant's actions might have been part of a broader, more insidious pattern. Was this an isolated descent into crime, or the visible tip of a submerged systemic behavior that ordinary people everywhere are capable of? If this story has gripped you so far, comment Hidden Darkness. Share this story with everyone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell to uncover what happens next. Could the unraveling of one man's morality reveal truths about human nature that we'd rather not confront? What other ordinary people might be living parallel lives of deception, waiting for the perfect storm to strike? The answers are coming, and the final revelations will leave you questioning the thin line between ordinary life and extraordinary crime. The courtroom revelations in Portland had already rattled the city, but the most unsettling truths were only just emerging. As prosecutors presented the final pieces of evidence, the depth of the accountant's deception became undeniable. Hidden accounts, falsified contracts, and a meticulously orchestrated web of lies revealed that his criminal behavior wasn't a sudden collapse. It was a long, calculated unraveling of morality under the weight of pressure, envy, and fear. How can a person who seems perfectly ordinary orchestrate such chaos without detection? And what does it reveal about the fragile line between right and wrong in all of us? Investigators uncovered emails that exposed his inner rationalizations. One message to a colleague read, "Sometimes you have to bend the rules to survive." Beneath this cold pragmatism, there lay a mind wrestling with morality, ethics, and survival instinct. Experts say that rationalization is often the first step toward ordinary people committing extraordinary crimes, the small compromises that eventually become massive betrayals. But when does the excuse stop and the crime begin? The human toll was staggering. Family members, once proud of a father, husband, and provider, were now reeling from shock and betrayal. Friends struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the criminal in the headlines. Psychologists observe that these situations often trigger profound identity crises, not just for the perpetrator, but for everyone close to them. How does one trust again? How does one reconcile love with betrayal? Even as the trial seemed to reach its climax, the most chilling discovery was yet to come: a series of personal journals meticulously kept over years. Within them, the accountant detailed moments of envy, anger, and perceived injustice. Small incidents that, at the time, seemed inconsequential, but ultimately fanned the flames of criminal intent. Here lay the ultimate insight into the mind of someone who walked the line between ordinary life and extraordinary crime. Could any of us, under similar pressures, find ourselves writing the same confessions in private, rationalizing choices we would never admit publicly? Community response was intense. The media coverage stirred heated debates about morality, societal pressure, and the psychological tipping points that lead ordinary people to commit crimes. Behavioral experts weighed in, citing the subtle but cumulative impact of stress, fear, and temptation. Ordinary individuals, they explained, are often not born criminals, but rather products of circumstance, opportunity, and human fallibility. Yet the question lingered: how ordinary is ordinary when the capacity for betrayal, greed, and harm exists in everyone? Then came the final, most shocking twist. A whistleblower revealed that the accountant's criminal network might extend further than anyone suspected. Some colleagues hinted at complicity, while others admitted to turning a blind eye to warning signs. This revelation exposed a disturbing truth. Ordinary people do not act in isolation. Their crimes often intertwine with overlooked networks of enablers, passive observers, and societal blind spots. Could it be that crime is not just about individual moral failure, but also about collective inattention and complicity? As the verdict approached, courtroom tension reached a fever pitch. The accountant maintained an outward composure, but those watching could sense the weight of consequences bearing down. The jury faced a case that blurred lines between intentional malice and human vulnerability, forcing everyone to confront uncomfortable questions about trust, morality, and the potential darkness lurking in all of us. If this story has gripped you so far, comment "moral collapse." Share this story with all who need to witness it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell to uncover the final truths. How far can pressure, resentment, and opportunity push an ordinary person before morality snaps? Could any of us cross that line under the right or wrong circumstances? The answers lie ahead, but the revelations are about to challenge everything you thought you knew about ordinary people, morality, and the hidden capacity for crime within the human mind. The day of the verdict arrived, and the tension in the Portland courtroom was palpable. Spectators, family members, and journalists waited with bated breath as the jury returned. Outside, the city buzzed with speculation, while inside, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. The accountant, once an unassuming figure of stability, sat with a calm that belied the storm of consequences awaiting him. How could a man so ordinary embody such extraordinary criminality, and how could those around him reconcile the duality of his life? As the judge read the verdict, a hush fell across the courtroom. The sentence itself was more than a judgment. It was a reflection of the complexity of human nature. Here was a man whose outward life had been orderly, respectable, and relatable, yet whose inner world had been shaped by ambition, resentment, fear, and rationalization. Psychologists later explained that what made this case so compelling and frightening is the universality of the risk. Ordinary people, under certain pressures, are capable of crossing moral boundaries. The difference between a law-abiding citizen and a criminal may, in some cases, be a fragile balance of circumstance, choice, and opportunity. For the community, the aftermath was a mixture of shock, reflection, and uneasy vigilance. Friends and neighbors struggled to trust as freely as before. Families asked themselves uncomfortable questions. Could they have recognized the signs? Did they too ignore subtle warnings in their own lives or communities? The case became a mirror reflecting not only the accountant's moral collapse, but the latent potential for wrongdoing that exists in all ordinary people. Experts weighed in with chilling insights. Ordinary individuals often commit crimes when a combination of stress, opportunity, and moral compromise aligns. Financial pressure, personal betrayal, envy, or unaddressed anger can accumulate over time, creating a psychological tipping point. This is the dangerous terrain where morality bends under pressure, and ordinary choices can escalate into extraordinary crime. The accountant's journals, digital records, and personal communications became a roadmap of that descent, a haunting reminder that the human mind can justify nearly anything if left unchecked. Yet, even as the court closed, lingering questions remained. Could someone so calculated and outwardly normal have been stopped before the crimes occurred? How many ordinary people across the world are silently navigating moral gray zones, unaware that one poor choice could cascade into irreversible consequences? And perhaps the most chilling question of all, do we truly understand the capacity for darkness within ourselves, or are we comforted by the illusion that evil resides only in others? The story concludes, but the lessons remain. Trust, morality, and integrity are not absolute. They are tested daily by circumstance and choice. Crime is not always an abstract concept carried out by strangers. It can manifest in our homes, workplaces, and communities. Reflection, vigilance, and empathy may prevent moral collapse, but understanding the delicate interplay of human psychology is essential for everyone. What you learn today may one day save you or someone you love from crossing the line that separates ordinary life from extraordinary crime. If this story has left an impact, comment "Ordinary Darkness." Share this with those who need to reflect. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell. What do you think drives ordinary people to commit crimes? Could pressure, fear, or desperation push any one of us past the point of no return? How do we recognize the early warning signs in ourselves and those around us? Engage, reflect, and share your thoughts. This is Crime Chronicles TVc, your daily dose of real crime stories. Stay tuned for more gripping tales of justice, betrayal, and survival that will keep you on the edge of your seat.